Meeting to order, please. Doug, will you call the roll?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Alvarado,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Burke, Commissioner Dunn,
Present.
Commissioner Gilmetti, Commissioner Guardino, Commissioner Kehoe,
Here.
Commissioner Tavaloni,
Here.
Commissioner Van Konynenberg, Chair Inman.
Here.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. We are on item 111, I believe. That's correct?
Yes.
Yes. Good.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tab 111 is an action item on Caltrans's Division of Aeronautics request for approval of Resolution FDOA-2019-CR1 to allocate $1.4 million for fiscal year 2019-20 set aside to match the Federal Airport Improvement Program AIP grants. Staff recommends approval of this resolution to allocate for fiscal year 2019-20 AIP grant.
Okay. Can we just ask you to speak a little closer into the mic?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think it's not quite loud. Oh.
It doesn't.
Turn it up.
Yeah.
Staff recommends approval.
We'll do a do-over. So let's do it again, just so the
okay.
folks at home could hear.
Commissioners, tab 111 is an action item on Caltrans's Division of Aeronautics request for approval of Resolution FDOA-2019-CR1 to allocate $1.4 million for fiscal year 2019-20 set aside to match the Federal Airport Improvement Program AIP grants. Staff recommends approval of this resolution to allocate for fiscal year 2019-20 AIP grant.
I guess I should turn my mic on. Okay. No, that's Amy. She's just on standby, I think. Amy, you're not wanting Diane to say anything, are you? Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Guardino, a second by Commissioner Van Konynenberg. Is there any discussion? Amy, you want to say anything? Second chance?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. Okay, hearing no discussion, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? We're abstaining. That motion carries. We'll go to item 112. Teresa?
Commissioners, item 112 is an information item. This is the third quarter report providing you the progress of the sub-allocations the department has made for fiscal year 18-19 for the local assistance annual allocation. The department has sub-allocated approximately 41% of the amount allocated by the commission. This is pretty much in line with prior years as the majority of the delivery is done in the last quarter. This is just a report and no action is required unless you have any questions. I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions? If not, we'll move on then. Teresa, 113.
Item 113 is an action item. This is the annual allocation request by the department of $137,521,000 to administer the local assistance 2019-20 fiscal year state annual subvention program. This request is consistent with the proposed Budget Act of 2019. Staff recommends approval contingent upon the passage of Budget Act 2019.
We have a motion by Commissioner Tavaloni, a second by Commissioner Alvarado. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstaining. That motion carries. Teresa, 114.
Item 114 is an action item. This is an amendment to the 18-19 local assistance federal annual allocation. In October 2018, the Commission approved more than half of the federal annual allocation. The Department is now requesting the remaining allocation for the Department's Division of Local Assistance Subvention Program for the federal fiscal year 18-19. This request includes August redistribution as well as a reduction in the Highway Safety Improvement Program. Staff recommends your approval.
We have a motion by Commissioner Tavaloni, a second by Commissioner Dunn. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstaining. That motion carries. Teresa, 115.
Item 115 is an action item. This is a request by the department to increase the state annual allocation by $10,000 for the seismic safety and $10 million, yeah. Did I say?
You said 10,000.
Oh, sorry, $10 million for the Seismic Safety Analysis Report Program. The funds have been reduced from the federal HSIP program in exchange for state funds. Staff recommends your approval.
We have a motion by Commissioner Gilmetti, a second by Commissioner Tavaloni. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstaining? That motion carries. Teresa, 116.
Item 116 is a financial allocation request of $3,300,000 for 2 projects in the Transit and Intercity Rail Capital Program. This request is consistent with the program that was adopted by agency. Staff recommends your approval.
We have a motion by Commissioner Tavaloni, a second by Commissioner Alvarado, a question by Commissioner Van Kennidenberg.
Teresa, on the outcomes on this, one of the outcomes it says will happen is that there'll be increased ridership due to these two items. Both items cite increased ridership. How is replacing the electric bus over the natural gas or standard gas or diesel bus increasing ridership on this one?
My understanding is that they will be going faster, therefore they will be increasing the capacity by adding more routes. But I have Ron Shepard from Rail is here to give you a better answer than mine.
Okay.
Ron?
Good morning, Commissioners. Actually, Teresa hit it right on the head. What we're going to be able to do is expand the service, run them more frequently, and what we're anticipating is then the ridership will increase.
You'll be able to expand the service and go faster because of electric buses over natural gas buses?
No, it's not the speed of the buses, it's going to be the frequency of them.
All right. Thank you.
Could we really dive into that? Because that's not what we're hearing from our transit folks, that we're the early adopters. They have fit these into their system, but they're still working on it. So I know they're very popular with our riders because they're beautiful and they're quiet and they're nice to be on. But let's make sure, because that's not what we're hearing from the operators that I'm talking to anyway.
Okay, definitely. We'll follow up with staff.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? That motion carries. Okay, we'll move on now to item 117. Teresa.
Item 117 is an action item. This is a financial allocation request of $28,240,000 for 2 STIP projects on the state highway system. Staff has reviewed this request, finds it consistent with the program, the adopted program, and the STIP guidelines. Staff recommends your approval.
Have a motion by Commissioner Gilmetti. I heard a second by Commissioner Kehoe. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for that vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? That motion carries. Item 118, Teresa.
Item 118 is an action item. This is an allocation request of $775,000 for the US 101 Trinidad Area Access Improvement Project in Humboldt County. Staff has reviewed this request, finds it consistent with the program and STIP guidelines. Staff recommends your approval.
I have a motion by Commissioner Gilmetti, a second by Commissioner Tavaloni, a question by Commissioner Van Kennidenberg.
Teresa, we got a lot of letters when we programmed this item a while back, and we obviously have gotten a lot of letters again today regarding this project, and I was just wondering if you could have the project proponents talk about how this was vetted locally and walk us through that.
Marcella is here to
Thank you.
provide you some answers.
Good morning. My name is Marcella Clem. I'm the Executive Director for the Humboldt County Association of Governments. Members of the tribe are not here today. This project was programmed in our RTIP. It went through our Technical Advisory Committee and our board back in December of 2017. Just to give you some background, we have 7 cities in a large unincorporated area. Every city has direct access to their jurisdiction. The tribe does not. Their access goes through a city of Trinidad and along a very narrow, it's called Scenic Drive. It's kind of like our little Last Chance grade. It's right on the ocean on a cliff. The tribe has devoted funds to try to make that stable. It already has Band-Aids on it from a few years ago. So I know the letters were not sent to me, but I know there's issues of, this is just for economic development, but it is an access issue. If there's anything else I can help you with.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? That motion carries. Item 119, Teresa.
Item 119 is an action item. This is an allocation request of $6,294,000 for 7 locally administered STIP projects. Staff has reviewed this request and finds it consistent with the STIP guidelines and the program. Staff recommends your approval.
A motion by Commissioner Alvarado, a second by Commissioner Dunn. Is there discussion? Any question? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstaining? That motion carries. Item 120. Teresa.
Item 120 is an advance allocation request of $2,344,000 for 8 locally administered STIP projects that are programmed in fiscal year 1920. Staff has reviewed this request, finds it consistent with STIP guidelines and the program. Staff recommends your approval.
We have a motion by Commissioner Tavaloni, a second by Commissioner Kehoe. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstaining? That motion carries. Teresa, you're up again, 121.
121 is an action item. This is an advance allocation request of $833,000 for a STIP project in Santa Clara County, programming 1920. Staff has reviewed this request and finds it consistent with STIP guidelines and the program. Staff recommends your approval.
Have a motion by Commissioner Gardino, a second by Commissioner Tavaloni. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstaining? That motion carries. Item 122, Teresa.
Item 122 is an action item. This is an allocation request of $3,800,000 for an AB 3090 cash reimbursement project in Placer County. Staff has reviewed this request and finds it consistent with STIP guidelines and the program. Staff recommends your approval.
Have a motion by Commissioner Tavaloni, a second by Commissioner Alvarado. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? That motion carries. Item 123, Teresa.
Item 123 is an action item. This is an advance allocation request of $6,321,000 for an AB 3090 cash reimbursement project in Kern County. This project is programming 1920. Staff has reviewed this project and finds it consistent with STIP guidelines and the program. Staff recommends your approval.
We have a motion by Commissioner Tavaloni. I'll take a second by Commissioner Van Kleinenberg. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? But abstaining? That motion carries. Teresa, you're working hard this morning.
124 is not an action item. This is an information item. This is an update of the Waterborne Ferry Program. Here to provide you the update of the Waterborne Ferry Program is Kenny Cal from MTC and Taylor Rutch from the Water Emergency Transportation Authority.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you, Teresa, for that introduction. I'm Kenneth Cow with the Metropolitan Transportation Commission. I'm here to introduce Taylor Rutch from the Water Emergency Transportation Authority. He'll give an overview of the Bay Area Ferry program that WETA provides, as well as an update on their budget and their planned investments in the future. Taylor.
Morning, Commissioners. Thank you for having me today. I'm Taylor Rutch with the Water Emergency Transportation Authority. This is a very brief overview of kind of what we've been doing, what we've been using the allocated money for, and just kind of updating everyone on what we've been working on. So here's an overview of our route map. As you can see, we have 5 routes in 5 separate counties in San Francisco Bay Area. We serve everyone under the San Francisco Bay Ferry brand, so we are a public transit agency. We have 17 vessels, 11 terminals. We carry over 2.6 million riders every year. We've had ridership growth over 7% since last year and 96% since 2012.
Wow.
We have a $61 million annual capital budget for the upcoming year, as well as a $48 million operating budget. And we have a system-wide fare box recovery of 55%, and that varies between routes, but overall, that is our recovery. So the Waterborne Ferry Program funding, we get about $3.3 million from the Commission each year. MTC approves the policies and approves the allocations. So an example of what we've been spending it on, in 2017, $4.5 million went to construction of 2 new vessels. 2018, $5 million went for construction of a new high-speed vessel for our Vallejo route. And in 2020, we're using $2.6 million for overall ferry service operations. And the reason it's not $3.3 million every year is because it's a combination of accrued and annual. And on average, the CTC allocation is about 5 to 10% of our annual operating budget, depending on the year. And from here on, just a quick view of what we've been doing. Here's some of our new vessels. The Vela right there on the right used part of the CTC allocation for the construction. We're added 4 new 400-passenger vessel boats, 3 new 450-passenger jet boats, and a new 300-passenger vessel. We have 2 new operation and maintenance facilities, which are also our emergency response facilities in Mare Island and Alameda. These are both new within the last 5 years, and they're state-of-the-art. We also have a new service which opened up in January 2019 from Richmond to downtown San Francisco. It's 35 minutes, which is very time competitive with both BART and driving. We're up to about 900 passengers today. Ridership continues to grow, and in August 1st, we're going to be adding weekend service as well. And finally, the project that pretty much ties it all together is the Downtown Ferry Terminal Expansion Project. It triples our capacity in downtown San Francisco, which is the hub of all our operations. So all these other projects wouldn't be worth it if it wasn't for this one. And with that, I'll answer any questions.
We have questions. Yes, Commissioner Dunn.
I didn't have a question. This is a family thing for me. My sons live up in the Bay Area. I'm in Southern California. They cannot speak more highly about this program. In fact, my son says, "Mom, they're clean. They're gracious when you walk on the boat. It's the customer service is phenomenal, and he will prefer it over BART any day of the week." So I just want to pass that on from my son's comment, and that they just love this service. And the one thing is you don't have enough boats. If there was any complaint, they said that even though there's Wi-Fi, there's no real way to identify when a boat is going to be late or delayed or canceled. So that might be something to look at in the future. But just kudos for you and the service, and on behalf of my family, thank you.
I appreciate that. And we are working on that real-time arrival data, so
Yeah.
yes.
Commissioner Gometti.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Taylor, nice presentation. A few questions. What do you think the average trip cost is for a passenger?
Per passenger, it's system-wide about $7. That's a little bit inflated because of the Vallejo service, which is an hour-long service, is $14 if one way if you don't have a Clipper card. I think it's about $11 if you do have a Clipper card. And for our main service, Oakland Alameda, it's around $7, yes.
The next question would be on the fare box recovery, you got 55%. Is that going up?
Yeah, I mean, it does, considering that we are getting more and more riders exponentially kind of on our Vallejo route, which is, again, it has the biggest fare, and because of it has that higher fare, get a lot higher fare box recovery from that route. And also the Oakland Alameda route just keeps growing, whereas our smaller routes don't have as high of a fare box recovery. But overall, it's been slowly growing, yes.
And the 2 new ferries are being built where?
San Diego and Washington.
State of Washington.
Seattle area, Puget Sound.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Great presentation.
Thank you.
Other questions? I have just one. Congratulations on a 96% increase, I think you said, since 2012. I can't imagine where we'd be if everybody else had anything close to that in terms of increase of ridership. What do you attribute that to? Just more demand? A bar on board?
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't, yeah. Well, we don't deal with traffic. We don't have those huge right-of-way expenses, and we are able to really increase frequency
But a
significantly.
96% increase in anybody's business is phenomenal. So
Well-
I'd really love to learn more.
Yeah.
And could you do that again if you just had more vessels? I mean, what?
Well, it originally started off, these were separate routes run by cities.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a lot of system cohesion. When we took over all the routes, we were able
So
to
it worked
interline our
better.
vessels. Yeah, and so it could be argued that it just started so low, that now that our ridership
The only
looks so
way was
high.
up? Okay.
But we keep seeing it grow year over year, and this year is no different. So we'll just see how long we can ride that wave. We just keep adding vessels and people keep riding them.
Well, I would echo Commissioner Dunn's comments. I hear nothing but all of my friends that use it love it, and, that's their
It's
mode of
enjoyable to ride
choice
the
whenever
boats.
it's an option, so congratulations. Then, just in closing, your name is the Water Emergency?
Yes, so the emergency was added a few years ago. We also have emergency response capabilities. So in case of a major earthquake, which is kind of the one we prepare for the most,
Okay.
if the BART tube goes down or
Okay.
something happens to the bridge, we
Okay.
scramble our boats.
Okay, well, I'm glad you use the everyday brand for everyday.
Yes, no, most
Thanks.
people don't know the difference between the
Okay,
two.
great. Well, that makes us smile, I think. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I would. I'd volunteer for that. Okay, 125, Teresa.
Commissioners, this
We
is an
did.
action item. This is the annual allocation request of $3,343,000 to the Waterborne Ferry Program for fiscal year 18-19. This amount is consistent with the proposed Budget Act of 2019 and will be contingent upon the passage of the state budget. Staff recommends your approval.
Have a motion by Commissioner Gomez, a second by Commissioner Dunn. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? That motion carries. Item 126, Dawn.
So item 126 is an action item to approve a TCIF construction allocation for the State Route 60 Archibald Avenue Interchange Improvement Project in San Bernardino County. Staff has reviewed the request and finds it consistent with the program guidelines. Therefore, staff recommends your approval.
Have a motion by Commissioner Tavaloni, a second by Commissioner Alvarado. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? Motion carries. Christine, item 127.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tab 127 is an action item to approve an allocation of $4,272,000 for one locally administered local partnership formulaic program project on the state highway system in Riverside County, programmed in fiscal year 2018-19. Staff has reviewed the request, and the item is consistent with the local partnership program guidelines and the adopted formulaic program. Therefore, staff recommends your approval of tab 127.
Have a motion by Commissioner Tavaloni, a second by Commissioner Alvarado. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? That motion carries. 128, Christine.
Tab 128 is an action item to approve an allocation totaling $773,000 for three locally administered local partnership formulaic program projects off the state highway system in Mendocino, Contra Costa, and Sonoma counties, programmed in fiscal year 2018-19. Staff has reviewed the request, and the item is consistent with the local partnership program guidelines and the adopted formulaic program. Therefore, staff recommends your approval of tab 128.
Have a motion by Commissioner Gilmetti, a second by Commissioner Gardino. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? That motion carries. Christine, 129, please.
Tab 129 is an action item to approve an advance allocation of $829,000 for one state-administered local partnership formulaic program project on the state highway system in Santa Barbara County, programmed in fiscal year 2019-20. Staff has reviewed the request, and the item is consistent with the local partnership program guidelines and the adopted formulaic program. Therefore, staff recommends your approval of tab 129.
Have a motion by Commissioner Tavaloni, a second by Commissioner Alvarado. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstaining? That motion carries. Christine, 129. I'm sorry,
tab 130.
130. Yeah, we did 129.
Tab 130 is an action item to approve an advance allocation of $2,286,000 for one locally administered local partnership formulaic program project on the state highway system in Contra Costa County programmed in fiscal year 2019-20. Staff has reviewed the request, and the item is consistent with the local partnership program guidelines and the adopted formulaic program. Therefore, staff recommends your approval of tab 130.
We have a motion by Commissioner Gilmetti, a second by Commissioner Van Konynenberg. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstaining? That motion carries. Item 131, please.
Tab 131 is an action item to approve an advance allocation of $100,000 for one locally administered local partnership formulaic program project off the state highway system in Nevada County, programmed in fiscal year 2019-20. Staff has reviewed the request, and the item is consistent with the local partnership program guidelines and the adopted formulaic program. Therefore, staff recommends your approval of tab 131.
We'll have a motion by Commissioner Von Konynenberg and a second over here by Commissioner Dunn. No, how far down? Tavaloni. Thank you. They were all coming together, I thought. So anyway, any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstaining? That motion carries. We're on to 132, please.
Tab 132 is an action item to approve an allocation of $100,000 for one locally administered local partnership formulaic program transit project in Monterey County, programmed in fiscal year 2018-19. Staff has reviewed the request, and the item is consistent with the local partnership program guidelines and the adopted formulaic program. Therefore, staff recommends your approval of tab 132.
Move approval. Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Gardino, a second by Commissioner Von Konynenberg. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? That motion carries. Christine, item 133.
Tab 133 is an action item to allocate a total of $121,809,000 in local partnership formulaic program, STIP, and Trade Corridor Improvement Fund program funds for the Interstate 5 Widening Segment 1 State Route 73 to Oso Parkway project in Orange County on the state highway system. Staff has reviewed the request and finds it consistent with each program's guidelines. Therefore, staff recommends your approval of tab 133.
So moved. You couldn't get a second.
Second.
We're having a little fun this morning. A motion by Commissioner Dunn and a delayed second by Commissioner Alvarado. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? But abstaining? That motion carries. Item 134, Teresa.
Item 134 is an action item. This is an allocation request of $200,000 for the Franklin Boulevard Cycle Track Phase 1 project in Sacramento County, program in the Solutions for Congested Corridors program. Staff has reviewed this request and finds it consistent with the Congested Corridors guidelines and the adopted program. Staff recommends your approval.
Have a motion by Commissioner Gilmetti, a second by Commissioner Dunn. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? But abstaining? That motion carries. Item 135, Dawn.
Tab 135 is an action item to approve a trade corridor enhancement construction allocation request for $20 million for two projects located in Los Angeles County and San Diego County. Staff has reviewed the request and finds it consistent with the program guidelines, along with the adopted program, and staff recommends your approval.
We have a motion by Commissioner Kehoe, a second by Commissioner Alvarado. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? but abstaining. That motion carries. We took item 136 yesterday. We will move on now to 137. Anya.
Commissioners, this is an action item. This item is to approve allocations of $68,095,000 for 57 ATP projects. Please note the change to project number 19 listed in the change list. These allocations include $1,203,000 in construction and non-infrastructure funding for the Ponderosa Elementary Safe Routes to School project in the town of Paradise in Butte County. This project will construct a Class 1 mixed-use pathway along Pence Road. I would like to acknowledge the town of Paradise for their commitment to completing their active transportation projects. Staff has reviewed all of these requests, and they are consistent with the ATP guidelines and the adopted program. Therefore, staff recommends your approval.
Have a motion by Commissioner Dunn, a second by Commissioner Kehoe. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstaining? That motion carries. Anya, 138, please.
Commissioners, this is an action item to approve an allocation of $4 million for the 2019 Active Transportation Program, California Conservation Corps. Approval of this $4 million will fully allocate the 17 projects for the 2019 Active Transportation Program approved yesterday under tab 95. Please note the updates to the book item listed in the change list. Staff has reviewed this request, and it is consistent with the 2019 Active Transportation Program California Conservation Corps guidelines, the adopted program, and therefore staff recommends your approval.
Have a motion by Commissioner Kehoe, a second by Commissioner Tavaloni. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstaining. That motion carries. Anya, 139.
Commissioners, this is an action item to approve advance allocations of $9,542,000 for 11 active transportation program projects programmed in fiscal year 2019-20. Staff has reviewed these requests, and they are consistent with ATP guidelines, the adopted program, and the ATP policy on project amendments and advanced project allocations, and therefore staff recommends your approval.
Have a motion by Commissioner Gilmetti, a second by Commissioner Kehoe, I think down here. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? But abstaining, that motion carries. Move on to Chris, item 140.
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. Item number 140 is a department action item. There are changes for this agenda item as noted on your sheet. Projects number 31 and 32 were withdrawn prior to the meeting because they achieved their project approval and environmental document phase. Now the request is for time extensions for 131 shop projects. The requests have been reviewed by Commission staff and are consistent with the shop guidelines. Commission staff recommends Commission approval of the time extensions as shown on the table of staff recommendations.
Have a motion by Commissioner Tavaloni, a second by Commissioner Alvarado. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? That motion carries. Chris, 141, please.
Yes, item number 141 is a department action item requesting an extension to the start time of expenditures for one shop pre-construction support phase for this project in Sonoma County. Caltrans requested a 3-month extension for this project. However, Commission staff recommends a 4-month extension. The request has been reviewed and is consistent with the shop guidelines. Commission staff recommends Commission approval of this time extension.
Have a motion by Commissioner Gilmetti, a second by Commissioner Dunn. Is there discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? But abstaining, that motion carries. Christine, item 142, please.
Tab 142 is an action item to approve a local partnership competitive program project allocation extension request. Staff has reviewed the allocation extension request, and the item is consistent with the local partnership program guidelines. Therefore, staff recommends your approval of tab 142 as shown on the yellow timesheet extension table.
We have a motion by Commissioner Gometti, a second by Commissioner Dunn. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? That motion carries. Christine, item 143, please.
Tab 143 is an action item to approve 5 local partnership program project allocation extension request. Please note on the change list, 1 request was withdrawn prior to the CTC meeting. Staff has reviewed the allocation extension request, and the item is consistent with the local partnership program guidelines. Therefore, staff recommends your approval of tab 143 as shown on the yellow time extension table and the change list.
I have a motion by Commissioner Tavaloni, a second by Commissioner Alvarado. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? That motion carries. Item 144, Christine.
Tab 144 is an action item to approve 3 local partnership program project allocation extension request. Please note the project revisions on the change list. Staff has reviewed the allocation extension request, and the item is consistent with the local partnership program guidelines. Therefore, staff recommends your approval of tab 144 as shown on the yellow time extension table and the change list.
I have a motion by Commissioner von Kanonenberg, a second by Commissioner Kehoe. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstaining? That motion carries. Dawn, item 145.
So tab 145 is tab 145 is a trade corridor enhancement construction allocation time extension for the Quiet Zone Safety Project in Alameda County. Staff has reviewed the request, finds it consistent with the program guidelines. Therefore, staff recommends approval of the 12-month extension.
I have a motion by Commissioner Gometti, a second by Commissioner Tavaloni. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? That motion carries. Item 146, Teresa.
Item 146 is an action item. This is a request to extend project allocation for STIP projects. There is a change on the change list for this item. Project number 3, the request is 9 months. Project number 4 has been withdrawn. Staff has reviewed the request and finds it consistent with STIP guidelines. With these changes, staff recommends approval as reflected on staff's table of recommendations.
Have a motion by Commissioner van Kanonenberg, a second by Commissioner Dunn. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? That motion carries. Item 147, Teresa.
Item 147 is an action item. This is a time extension request for allocation for 4 locally administered STIP projects. Staff has reviewed this request and finds it consistent with STIP guidelines. Staff recommends approval as reflected on the staff table of recommendations.
We have a motion by Commissioner Gometti, a second by Commissioner Tavaloni. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstaining? That motion carries. Item 148, Teresa.
Item 148 is an action item. This is a time extension request for allocation for 1 locally administered STIP project. Staff has reviewed this request and finds it consistent with STIP guidelines. Staff recommends your approval as reflected on staff table of recommendations.
Have a motion by Commissioner Dunn, a second by Commissioner Tavaloni. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? That motion carries. Item 149 was removed. Item 150, please, Anya.
Commissioners, this is an action item to approve the period of allocation for 56 active transportation projects. Commission staff is recommending that projects number 5 and 6 on this item receives a 16-month extension rather than the 12 months the agency requested because of the delays in obtaining right-of-way from the North Coast Rail Authority. In addition, for project number 23, Commission staff, after talking to Caltrans, is recommending a 20-month extension rather than the 12 months because the project has been put on hold until a scope change can be approved. Staff has reviewed the extension requests in item 150, and they are consistent with the ATP guidelines, and staff recommends their approval as shown on the yellow time extension table.
We have a motion by Commissioner Alvarado, a second by Commissioner Kehoe. Is there discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
No, I just second. You're right.
Oh, okay. I'm on a roll here, guys, come on. No discussion, let's vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? But abstaining? That motion carries. We'll move on to item 151, please.
Commissioners, this is an action item to extend the period of contract award for 2 active transportation projects. Staff has reviewed these time extensions, and they are consistent with the Active Transportation Program guidelines, and staff recommends approval as shown on the yellow time extension table.
We have a motion by Commissioner Tavaloni, a second by Commissioner Dunn. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? But abstaining? That motion carries. Teresa, 152.
Item 152 is an action item. This is a request to extend project completion for 4 locally administered STIP projects. Staff has reviewed this request and finds it consistent with STIP guidelines. Staff recommends approval as reflected on the staff table of recommendations.
We have a motion by Commissioner Gometti, a second by Commissioner Kehoe. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstaining? That motion carries. Okay, we'll move on. 152?
I believe it's 153.
Okay, 153.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
This is an action item to extend the period of project completion for the Trinity County Active Transportation project. It is consistent with the Active Transportation Program guidelines, and staff recommends approval as shown on the yellow time extension table.
I have a motion by Commissioner Alvarado, a second by Commissioner Gometti. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? But abstaining? That motion carries. 154 was withdrawn. Item 155, Teresa.
Item 155 is an action item. This is a time extension request to extend the period of project development expenditures for a locally administered STIP project. Staff has reviewed this request and finds it consistent with STIP guidelines. Staff recommends your approval as reflected on staff table of recommendations.
We have a motion by Commissioner Alvarado, a second by Commissioner Tavaloni. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? But abstaining? That motion carries. Item 156, Hanya.
Commissioners, this is an action item to extend the period of expenditure for 4 active transportation projects. They are consistent with ATP guidelines, and staff recommends approval as shown on the yellow time extension table.
Have a motion by Commissioner Dunn, a second by Commissioner Tavaloni. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? That motion carries. So if I can just add, after all those extensions and stuff, if anybody has a project, they're watching this, and you think you might be in this situation, you might want to hustle up and not have any extensions, because depending on what happens with this safe vehicle rule, you don't want to be in a situation where you're going to have to make any change to scope, budget, timing, anything. So everybody, let's make sure that we don't have anybody get stuck or caught. We don't know what's going to happen with that. So with that, public comment? Comment from anybody else? I think, Lori, we're going to miss you, so I think we should bid you farewell and wish you all the best in your new endeavors. And I'm sure all of our paths will cross again, but thank you for your service to the state of California, and it's been our pleasure to work with you. So all the best. Anybody else have anything to add? Yeah. And then, yes, of course, Commissioner Keel.
Thank you, Paul. We've been talking about Lori's great service to California, which I heartily concur with. But I don't want to forget all the great work you did as Director of District 11. And we all remember your fine work down there, spirit of cooperation, really reaching out to people, making transportation and Caltrans projects very well understood by the community. So thanks, Lori. We wish you well. Enjoy that trip down through Big Sur.
Sure.
It'll cost me.
Last chance.
I got a day left, so it's been really nice working with all of you, and the work that we're doing in transportation, whether you work for Caltrans or for the commission, is so important to everybody. What we do touches the lives of everybody who lives or works or plays here, and so I applaud the work that will continue, and all of you who will continue doing it, and thank you for your kind words.
Okay, so sadly, I would like to close this meeting in honor of Ron Nichols, who is the president of Southern California Edison. Ron passed away earlier this month after a heroic battle with cancer. And as you all know, we intersect with our energy partners on a regular basis. I know Commissioner Dunn and I had called on Ron several times when we had a few hiccups with some of our timing and stuff. And I can tell you that Ron brought his best self every day and encouraged all of us to bring our best selves to our jobs. So he was a leader in the industry, in the energy sector, and a leader, really stood tall amongst all of us, literally and figuratively. He was very tall with this wonderful, wonderful deep voice, but a loss for all of California. And I know from our transportation partners, I can't imagine how many touch points we have when it comes to the energy sector. So well, we would like to close this this meeting in honor of a man that served all of us very well in the state of California. And with that one, Commissioner Kehoe, yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I knew Ron, but not to the level that you did. And but we looked at that great video yesterday with Governor Schwarzenegger. Ron was a board member of Velos and a strong supporter, and brought a lot of resources to that one project, among other things. So when I look at that, I'll think of all the work he did to move electrification forward for transportation. So he will be missed. He was really a leader.
Yeah, I hope we got to see that video, because I can just hear that wonderful deep laugh he had. He'd be chuckling at our former governor. So yeah, that was great. So anyway, we close this meeting in honor of Ron Nichols. Thank you.